it's a form of jargon that is confusing a lot of people, and all of a sudden people are asking, what's social entrepreneurship all about? It's also, a lot of people are getting pumped up about it. At the recent World Economic Forum, people, all sectors came together, the government, business sector, non-profit sector, they all came together and they were talking about the future of business. So a lot of people are asking the question, is the future of business a form of social enterprise, social entrepreneurship? Is that the future? But I understand that a lot of you will get scared at the word social. Oh my God, we're not going to focus on our financial bottom line right now. We're going to start thinking about social issues, environmental issues. So this brief presentation is to basically try to move beyond this whole stigma within the social business sector. By the way, our program is under a local nonprofit. If you have a lot of profit, a lot of money that you're making, you're welcome to channel it to us. It's called Trnlab. It's based in Appanah. We do various programs. We even work in the northeast of Thailand. It looks a bit weird. It's on the Mac and all of a sudden the fonts are out of place. Anyway, this is the question I'm trying to raise to you. I'm also here to ask for your expertise in business. I know that all of you either entrepreneurs or involved in business very deeply. So we have a model that we're using right now to support social entrepreneurs, and we're hoping that you can give us feedback on how we can improve that model. What are we lacking? And this sort of thing. I hope it's a very open platform for you to just shout out, and if you don't understand anything, I will try to answer, or Sunit will even try to come in. Just to go through the agenda, we're going to go back a little bit and talk about the current economic system that we're working in. And then from there we'll move on to talk about blended values. And then I'll introduce the topic of social entrepreneurship. And then we'll go through a few innovative cases that are out there. And then we'll look at the support systems for social entrepreneurs. I'm sure some of you must have seen The Inconvenient Truth, or most of you must have come across a lot of social problems. In a way, these problems are catching up with us because of the economic system that we live in. As you can see, this is one of the problems named as poverty. The other is income inequality. Global warming. I'm sure that's proof like global warming is becoming more apparent. That's just a funny picture. I hope it isn't. So in a way, the world is in a balance. We've done so well. We've done so well over the past century, 2 centuries, because we're focused on creating economic value. And what has happened is our economic system is filled with market failures. In short, we economists, we blame the economists again for creating this term called externalities. So it's all right for you to go out there and create economic value, but push aside everything else in terms of the environment, in terms of the community, and so forth. So in a way, the true costs and benefits is not reflected in the products you create or the services you provide. It's a very skewed version. And at the same time, we're not able to respond to the challenges that are coming up, the problems that are coming up, because we're so focused on one bottom line. I'm sure some of you might have heard of the triple bottom line concept that more and more companies are starting to think of. Okay, so we maximize on our economic value, but we're not really doing well socially, we're not really doing well economically. But CSR, which is a new initiative, corporate social responsibility, is just the beginning. It's more like an advocacy campaign for creating an awareness, but it doesn't really solve much problem. We can get into that later. So I think in order to understand an organization creates value, and this is how our current value system looks like. It's a very shallow understanding of value. We've got the for-profits on one end, business, and we've got the non-profits, the NGOs, the MOs, the ones. So, and you know, it's kind of a battle between, okay, these guys are bad, these guys are good, you know, and both sides are really divided. And you know, for-profits provide philanthropic capital for non-profits, and non-profits provide something called karma for the businesses, a good conscience, you know. But the problem is the amount of capital flowing in terms of non-profits is probably only 5% of the total resources used in value generation in the total economic system. I'm sorry, I have to look at my notes. Okay. So basically, fundamentally, value is whole. You cannot try to disaggregate value. You can't pull it apart and say that, you know, I'm only going to focus on economic value. I'm going to not attend to the other values. And why have we come to that understanding? Because we think that what you can document, what you can track, is good for creating value. What you can't put on your balance sheets, let's forget about it. You know, almost I think up to almost 50% of an enterprise's activities are externalities, and they're not represented on your balance sheets. They're not represented on your cash flow statements, and that's really nonsense in a way, because there are now tools available. There are things like balanced scorecards. There are social return on investment indexes. So it's still developing. I agree, it's still emerging, but we can start to integrate those tools to start thinking about how to quantify and monetize these values, so that we can make a fairer balance sheet and cash flow statement. So I think it's also important to say that non-profits are not the only people that generate value. Businesses generate value too. You focus on economic value, you create lots of jobs, you pay your taxes, but at the same time you take resources from the environment, you generate waste, and all of that is not accounted for within your balance sheet. At the same time, non-profits do a lot of bad too. They focus on two values, and as a result they can't stay afloat in the market. A lot of foundations think of themselves as grant makers. They measure their impact based on the amount of money they can give out, not on the real change that occurs in the communities. And a lot of social workers, I'm working in the development field, a lot of social workers basically don't create a lot of change. I'm sorry to have such a shallow view of that. They're mostly tools in the poverty industry. They provide services that keep poor people intact. It doesn't improve the lives of poor people. So you've created a sort of mafia system in the development industry, and you push both industries away from each other. So I'm trying to present the point where, you know, it's time for us to start moving beyond two sectors. Let's think of value as a whole. Let's maximize on value. Let's maximize on the three components of the three elements of value, which is economic, social, and environmental, or within your organization, whether you're non-profit, whether you're for-profit. So before we can get into, I'm having a little bit of ambience.
Yeah, there's some feedback. I don't know if you turn down the volume or if you stand in a different place, it might help.
Okay. Anyway. So the question for you is, you know, social enterprise, can it be the future organization? But before I get into explaining what social entrepreneurship is all about, let's try to grab an understanding of what entrepreneurship itself is all about. I'm sure your teacher at time, Gilbert, must have given you a long history of what entrepreneurship is all about. I just hope I don't, you know, break down your credibility here. Anyway, entrepreneurship, just go through a few pictures. This is for, we can even include Gandhi in terms of entrepreneurship. So what is entrepreneurship all about? It's not about small business management.